Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's session, How to Plan, Prioritize, and Prepare Time to Study. I'm Kirsten O'Donovan, multinational productivity coach, author, and founder of Top Results Coaching. I'm so excited to share some great value with you today. I'm from South Africa, but I live in Europe at the moment, and I enjoy working with my clients from all over the world. Technology has enabled us to communicate and work from anywhere, and even though we're all in different parts, we all share the same challenge of managing our time more effectively to do more of what we want in life. And that's why I'm here today. I've been helping mothers from all over the world to free up time, get more organized, and create more of the life they want. I hope to do the same for you. I've worked with mothers in similar situations, wanting to study and further their education, but just not finding the time to do so. And so today we're going to continue with the third step, which is how to plan, prioritize, and prepare your time to study. So let's go straight in. So why is it so important? Well, people really overlook the importance of planning your time, prioritizing your time, and preparing your time to study. They all three go together, the 3 Ps of time management. You see, when you're not doing this, it's almost a given. You're going to be feeling overwhelmed because you've got so many things going on which aren't organized. You're unorganized because you're not sure what you need to do first. And you're stressed because you've got a lot of things going on and you don't know how you're going to get all of it done, right? Also, if you're not doing this, you're going to have a lack of clarity on what you need to do. And a lack of clarity is really bad because you're going to make decisions based on emotions, and you're also going to end up somewhere where you might not really want to be, right? So it really doesn't help, especially as well with a feeling of being stressed, right? Lack of clarity and stress are best friends. And thirdly, you're just wasting a lot of time because you're wasting a lot of resources doing things you most likely don't need to do. You're not being strategic about the order of things that need to be done. So you're probably wasting time realizing, okay, well, I can't actually start this task now and I've got to go all the way back to it, right? So you're wasting time, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're stressed, there's just a whole lot of negative things and really simple to solve. Okay, so it'll also planning prioritizing is going to adversely improve your life, right? Because you're going to be taking more responsibility over what you want to create. When you're sitting there and you're actually planning, you're in the creative side, right? Instead of being reactive to what happens every single day, you're being proactive and saying, this is what I want to get done. This is what I want to do, right? And I'm going to get it done. So you're also going to be more strategic, get more out of what you want to do, right? So you're going to value your time more. You're going to start to see that, okay, wow, I actually do have so much time, and how can I really squeeze it? How can I really plan it so I'm getting the most return on my investment in time? Because that's what it is. You're getting a return back from them, from what you're investing in your time. So everything you put in, you should be getting something back from it. So let's go straight into planning. And I love this quote: by failing to plan, you're planning to fail. And it's so true. So the first step in planning is to write everything down and not keep it in your head. See, the one thing that we need to realize as well is that the most things we have in our head, the more overwhelmed we feel, because our mind is not meant to be thinking about a million things at once, right? It starts to feel like it's just cluttered with so many things to do. And from that space and that frame of mind, it's really hard to take the right actions. So the first thing, getting everything out of your head onto a piece of paper. That's the whole objective of this. So you free up extra space to think about other things which are more important, right? So the first thing I'm going to say is you need to have a to-do list, right? And then you can have a notes list. But it's essential to have a to-do list. And you probably have a to-do list, but it might not be working that well for you. A notes list is what I call a little book that I carry around with me, keep next to my bed before I go to sleep, jot down any thoughts that are keeping my mind busy, any thoughts that are cluttering up my mind, any thoughts that are keeping me worried, and I put them on there to think about in the morning. Your to-do list as well, you might want to break it down into your longer term to-dos, maybe your personal to-dos, your work to-dos. So also just keeping your to-dos in one list is not such a good idea. And from a point of view as well, that when we look at something that has actually got more than 8 to 10 items on it, we automatically feel overwhelmed. So having a to-do list with a long list of items which aren't prioritized or categorized is actually just setting you up for feeling worse. So that's something really important to consider. Right? You also want to use tools and apps. Wunderlist is an amazing, really simple to-do list. I use My Life Organized, which is something a bit more complicated, but it's up to you, whatever works for you. But you really want to be using, I would say, an app that you've got on your mobile that's also on your desktop, and that you have access to really, really easily, and can sort your information and also make it more efficient to record information, right? You don't want to be sitting there with your long to-dos and your papers and pens and getting lost, and making things as easy as possible for yourself is the key, right? So like we said, you want to separate your to-dos into different categories. Okay. And so now that you've got, okay, great guys. So the next thing we want to do is we want to remember that we want to keep your actions bite-sized, right? Limit actions to a single activity. For example, organizing dinner is just too general. Do you need to go buy the shopping? What do you need to do first? What do you need to prepare? So the point is that you want to break it down into the smallest activity, because otherwise you're going to get there and you're going to realize, wow, I haven't planned enough time to do this, or I haven't even considered everything that I need to have with me in order to carry this out. So you need to write out each activity and not the outcome, right? So once you've written everything down, you have everything down that you need to do for the week. I want you to put a time estimate next to each of the items. This really, really helps you when you're planning and prioritizing, because you're able to see, okay, well, I've only got an hour and a half left today. If you look at your list immediately, you can select, based on the time estimates as well and your priorities. And so, just draw like literally a little column. If you find you're not so good at estimating your time, that's something you need to get better at as well. So start to challenge yourself, make it a game. How long do I think it's going to take to get dressed? Estimate it and then time it, and things like that. So start to get as really accurate as you can with your estimation. And lastly, you want to look into your schedule and put in the non-negotiables, right? So, you really, really need to be working off the calendar. So you've got your calendar, you've got your week ahead, you're going to block off times for the things which are non-negotiable, the things that have to get done. Block that in your calendar. Then you're going to look at, okay, well, how much time do I have left over? Depending on your work and everything, you don't really want to plan. Well, this is for general, but obviously being a mother and juggling so many things, it really, really does depend on how many responsibilities or tasks and things that you've got going on. But you do want to keep a little bit of that free time for those unforeseen circumstances and things that come up, because otherwise it's not possible to plan 100% of your time. So try to leave yourself some gaps in between, to be able to give yourself a cushion, if you need to change that around. And so once you've got your calendar and you've put in your non-negotiables, you're going to put in, your reoccurring tasks, then what are the other important to-dos, and what about the rest? So you start filling it up that way. Then, every single week or every day you look at your to-do. What time do I have left over? What can I get done? So again, time management is not a cookie cutter, but you need to have a system in place where, one, you're in advance planning, your time ahead, week, 2 weeks ahead. You're prioritizing your tasks according to the importance, and you're not doing the things you don't need to. You're also really sure about your estimation. So when you're planning, you can give yourself, okay, I can do this in 45 minutes. Let me only give 45 minutes to this task so I can get it done and move on to the next one. And the next thing we want to look at is planning. After the planning was the prioritizing, right? So a lot of people, they prefer to prioritize differently. I'm going to give you two options. One is you can start to look at your different tasks according to categories. Okay, go based on that. So I'm going to give you the five most common categories that people use. The first one is putting numbers, but the first category is important and urgent. So you put a 1 next to those important and urgent tasks. These tasks you expect a response in a short period of time. You need to do these tasks because they're urgent, But remember, if you keep putting out fires, you're not making time for the other tasks which are important, not so urgent. So I would say, a lot of time is spent here, but it's not the objective, because most of your time should be spent in category 2, which is important and not urgent. These initiate action, and while they don't need to be done today, they do need to be done. And essentially, when you're not spending time enough in time 2, you find all your time is in number 1, because you're not actually planning for the not urgent things, so they just become urgent, and then you're just always feeling overwhelmed. Things that are urgent but not important, these require action, immediate action, but maybe they're not high priority. Sometimes these happen when you find yourself saying yes to too many things for other people, or when you find yourself being interrupted continuously. Then something just becomes really, really time sensitive, although the importance of getting it done isn't as high as the urgency in getting it done. Then you've got the neither urgent nor important. These probably worth doing at some point, but these are more like busy work. Things like cleaning your emails up, cleaning your desk, other distractions. These tasks really give you the sense of being busy, although you're not really doing much. You probably choose to spend your time on this when you procrastinate. So these tasks, I'd really, really look at them and really reconsider, if why are they on the list, first of all? Is it because of do they really, really need to be there? And why do I keep putting them off as well? And what needs to change? You don't want to be spending your time here. And the last one is wasted time. Is your time better spent worth somewhere else? Is it worth doing this task? Can this task be delegated? Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, getting some school kids to do something which would take you 2 hours, and you could pay, a small fraction for them to do it. That's really something that would be worth delegating. So keep an eye open for that. Another way you can do that is just asking yourself some questions. If I could choose one thing on this list, which would be the most important? Which tasks would give me the most return on my investment of time? Right? After you've determined the most important task, look at the second one, and you keep doing this, right, until you've got numbers next to all of them. You can group these as well into different categories, like we've mentioned before, and you should only be spending your time on categories number 1 and 2, which we mentioned. So you can prioritize based on just asking yourself what's going to be the most important, or actually putting them into categories and selecting the categories. The most important is that you're prioritizing based on strategy and not on feeling, okay, on how you feel at the moment in time and if you're going to get it done. So keep that in mind. And finally, preparing to study. So now that you've got a bit of a habit in planning your time, you've got your to-dos, it comes the time to study. So there's just some small keys just to remember. And one is, of course, you really need to remove distractions. Don't make it a given. Turn your mobile off. Put a sign on the door. Arrange with your family that they're not going to bother you and interrupt you. And this is obviously a complete emergency for that time. Another thing which is really big is make sure you're feeling good. You are what you eat, right? So if you've planned time to study, but the time comes and you're feeling lethargic, you've got no focus, you're feeling dead, what is the point? Really, so you really need to make sure that you're feeling good. And if you can plan according to your productivity levels, even better. Unfortunately, most of us don't have that luxury. However, you do have a choice in what you're eating, and there's a lot of foods that help increase the focus, adding more flax seeds into your diet, omega-3, hundreds and hundreds of articles about food that will actually give you a boost in concentration and focus. So if you know that you don't physically feel well enough, tackle that as well, because that's a lot about productivity and getting things done. Put yourself in the right frame of mind. I said to you, listen to focus at will. So if you're feeling very distracted, you can actually induce more of a focused state. And Focus at Will is a wonderful website which does that. You can access some of it, I think, free of charge for a while, and it'll actually just help you concentrate. It will, if you're feeling very hyperactive, it'll calm you down a little bit, or vice versa. So put yourself in the right frame of mind. Make yourself, focused, feel energetic, be ready to study, open your mind up, and lastly, of course, ensure that you have all the resources you need before studying. So that when the time comes and you've only got that 45 minutes or that hour that you put aside, everything's there for you to really make the most of that hour and get and get your time. So thank you so much. You've found a lot of value in today. If you have any comments or recommendation, please include them in the comment section below, as well as contacting me if you have any questions, Kirsten O'Donovan at www.topresultscoaching.com.